Hey guys, today we're going to be looking at the benefits of breathing exercises / how breathing can improve your life. This video is actually inspired by an American author and journalist named James Nestor, who appeared as a guest on Joe Rogan's podcast. James jumped onto Joe Rogan's podcast to talk about his book called Breath, The New Science of a Lost Art, and after hearing what he had to say, I jumped straight onto Audible and purchased the audiobook. I didn't quite know how important our breathing is to the human body, and the information that I learnt was honestly mind-blowing, and I wish that I found out about it sooner. So without any further ado, let's jump into this video and find out more about our breath. Now you might be wondering, what effect can breathing exercises / breathing correctly have on our body? Well, let's start by looking at the 5 benefits that we can enjoy if we optimise the way that we breathe. Number 1, calms anxiety. Number 2, helps sleep. Number 3, improves cardiovascular health. Number 4, sharpens focus. And number 5, it even makes your skin brighter and healthier. This is pretty cool, right? But you may be thinking, you know what, I breathe all day every day, and I've not dropped dead yet. Surely I don't need to change the way that I breathe. Well, let's explore this. How do most people breathe in the modern world? The short and sweet answer is that most people breathe incorrectly, or at the very least, they breathe suboptimally. Nearly half of all people breathe through their mouth, but to get the most out of our breath, we should be breathing through our nose. Here are some reasons why it's bad to be a chronic mouth breather. Number 1, it raises your blood pressure. Number 2, it leads to poorer sleep quality. And number 3, you actually risk misaligning your jaw. Did you know that out of the 5,400 mammal species, us human beings are the only species which routinely suffers from misaligned jaws? And this sounds unbelievable, right? Surely breathing through your mouth is pretty much the exact same as breathing through your nose, but the science says not. When we breathe through our nose filters, warms and moistens the air before it gets to our lungs, and our lungs' capacity to absorb oxygen increases. So, inhale and exhale through your nose and break the habit of breathing through your mouth. The second way that most people breathe incorrectly in today's age is due to the fact that our breath is often too quick, too short and too shallow, which has so many negative health implications. When we're anxious or stressed, our breathing tends to speed up as our body is readying itself for action as it senses that danger is nearby. Breathing in this way puts us into the fight or flight mode, which is very stressful for our body and of course doesn't really help our anxiety, right? Back when us human beings were living in the open grassland of Africa, our lives were under threat because we lived amongst powerful, carnivorous animals such as lions, so it made sense for our bodies to need this fight or flight mode to help us survive in these life and death situations. But the environment that we live in now has evolved rapidly, as most of us now live in towns and cities where we would only ever see a dangerous predator at the zoo. But unfortunately our brains haven't evolved at the same rate, and we are left with the nervous systems that still behave as if we're back in the savannah. Luckily, nowadays we're a lot smarter. So let's use this knowledge to breathe a bit better, shall we? A good analogy for this is to picture yourself rowing a boat. If you take short, rapid strokes, sure, you'll end up reaching your destination, but you'll probably be knackered by the time you get there. A much better technique is to take long, deep strokes to maximise your efficiency, and this is the same for your breath. Don't be at work for 8 hours a day taking rapid, short breaths thinking that you're being super fast and super productive. Instead, chill out for a second, slow down your breathing. Otherwise you're going to be exhausted by the time you finish. So, breathe like you're running a marathon, not a sprint. There are various breathing techniques to choose from, but a popular one that I find useful is the 5.5 rule, where you inhale for 5.5 seconds through your nose, followed by a 5.5 second exhale also through your nose. One full breath will take 11 seconds, which means that you'll be breathing 5.5 times a minute. Interestingly, Buddhist, Japanese, Native American, and Taoist cultures have practices such as prayer or chanting, which follow the same breathing rhythm of 5.5 seconds in, 5.5 seconds out. Either this is a really weird coincidence, or more likely, it points to the fact that this breathing technique is effective in calming the body and the mind. Here's a good quote from James Nestor's book. It turns out that when breathing at a normal rate, our lungs will absorb only about a quarter of the available oxygen in the air. The majority of that oxygen is exhaled back out. By taking longer breaths, we allow our lungs to soak up more in fewer breaths. This just goes to show that sometimes in life, less is actually more. It's also worth knowing that the longest living animals are the ones that have the lowest heart rates, which is due to the fact that they have the lowest respiration rates. The amount of breaths that an animal takes per minute is proportionally similar to the range of that animal's expected lifespan. For example, dogs take 40 to 50 breaths per minute. Cats, they take 20 to 30 breaths per minute. But compare this to animals that live for a much longer time. Elephants and giant tortoises, they breathe 4 to 5 times per minute, and alligators, they only breathe once per minute. Throughout the animal kingdom, there is a clear correlation indicating that the lower your respiration rate, the longer you're likely to live. I love a good TED Talk, and I recently watched a great TED Talk called Breathe to Heal by a man named Max Strom. Max is a speaker, author, and global breathing teacher, and in this TED Talk, he speaks about how he's taught breathing techniques to people all around the world to alleviate the problems that are most affecting people today, such as anxiety, depression, PTSD, and sleep deprivation. Towards the end of the video, Max asks the audience to participate in a breathing exercise which he calls the 4-7-8 breath. This technique has been developed by Dr. Andrew Weil and is based on an ancient yogic technique called pranayama. Here's what you do. Begin by letting all of the air out of your mouth. Then you inhale quietly through your nose for 4 seconds, hold that breath for 7 seconds, then exhale for 8 seconds audibly through your mouth. Simple, right? You then repeat this 4-7-8 cycle 3 more times for a total of 4 repetitions. This breathing pattern helps people to relax and can also be used to help people fall asleep. I 100% recommend checking out Max Strom's TED Talk, so I'll throw a link in the description below, and I'll also pop in a link to Dr. Andrew Weil's website, as he's created a video explaining how to perform this breathing exercise. And that's all from me, guys. If you'd like to support the channel, please smash the like button, drop me a comment below, let me know if you've ever tried breathing exercises before and whether you found them helpful, and of course, hit subscribe. I've thrown loads of useful links into the description box below, such as the YouTube video of James Nestor's appearance on Joe Rogan's podcast, and also a link to James Nestor's website, so check those out if you want to learn more. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.